I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 6th, my oldest daughter Savannah's birthday. It's birthday season in the Wall family right now. Brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight-shooting telithromycin injection, a generic Draxin actually, that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, going to start at 7 a.m., expecting around 6,000 head for the regular feeder cattle sale here on Monday. Going to have a good run of all classes like usual. Tuesday, tomorrow, is the deadline for weaning if you want to have your cattle in the June 20th value-added wean back sale. So they do keep track of that, and Joplin is the third party there that's checking on that stuff, and they have their own program there. But if you need to plan ahead if you want to get into some of those value-added sales, they've got a special cow sale coming up next Wednesday, not this week, but next Wednesday at 4:30 in the afternoon, and Saturday on May the 18th, they are having a BQA workshop at Joplin, and that's free if you want to come to that, and that's kind of an educational event. Government help. I think it was Ronald Reagan, one of my favorite presidents besides Donald Trump, that said one of the scariest things for a person to hear is somebody showing up on site and saying, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Well, we've had about all the help we want from the government in the commercial cattle business here this past week, and we would kind of just soon they move on to something else. The first thing was early in the week we saw that mandatory EID and visual tags are going to be needed. It's going to become effective in 6 months. On all breeding stock, all varieties of cattle, the beef cattle too, over 18 months of age. And we knew that was coming. They tried to cram it down our throat. They've been trying to do that quite a while. They were trying to get some of the bigger establishment trade organizations to get behind it, and actually after they found out what grassroots people thought, they couldn't even get behind it either. But government went ahead and did it. So all cattle breeding age 18 months or older going to have EID and visual tag on them, and it's also going to fall on for cattle that are in rodeo, recreation, or exhibition. So mark my words, they will try to make it where all cattle have to be EID tagged and probably visual tagged too at some point. And we know what a mess that would be. We talked about that a bunch back whenever the NCBA convention was going on, and they were discussing what they thought about it. And there was enough people that called into their organization and expressed regret and unhappiness about that, and I don't even think a lot of the people that were making those rules realized that if we did all calves and yearlings and you had to do it before they changed hands, it would just clog up our auction markets. I mean, completely and totally clog them up, because they don't have the time, they don't have the help, and they don't have the want to get all that stuff done. So, you know, this was them getting a foot in the door. This isn't terrible. Basically, when you get your heifers calfhood vaccinated, go ahead and put the EID and visual tag in there, and then you've got it done. Of course, if you're keeping a bull, you're going to have to do a lot of testing on him. You'll have the opportunity to get that done on them. But then most of your show calves and cattle like that have already had those in. Now some of the roping calves and things like that, and maybe sorting cattle or cutting cattle, maybe they haven't had it, but now they will have to have those EID tags. And then we of course had more bird flu confusion that went through, and it caused the board to wreck both Tuesday and Wednesday on feeder cattle. And the feeder cattle have been leading the fat cattle board around here during this last mess. We're not sure why bird flu news, with the chance of it being negative, is such a negative for feeder cattle, but not so much for live cattle. Maybe because we're on short numbers and the feeder cattle board is really high up there. But it's not that much higher than what our cash market is or what our index levels are. But we've seen that kind of happen. So Tuesday, we heard some rumblings then, and then had a late wreck on the board. And then Wednesday we were kind of trying to catch back up from that, and then we found out that we were supposed to have some kind of a announcement from USDA, and why they would say that when the board's still open, because we've been having several rounds of testing going on. Then that wrecked the board. But then Thursday, it came back blazing, and in fact your live cattle board was up more than what it lost on Tuesday and Wednesday, and quite a bit more. Your feeder cattle gained back some on Thursday, but not near as much as they had lost on Tuesday and Wednesday. But your cash sales on Thursday were much better than your cash sales on Tuesday and Wednesday, because the moods were just completely better. It was like nothing ever happened, and we saw some really wild sales there late in the week. But it's just, we're just in a tumultuous thing right now. And so, in fact, the only official news that we got from USDA about the bird flu testing was that they did 30 samples at retail level, which is another thing. Why are they doing it at retail level? We've always done it at the processor level, but they did 30 samples at the retail level of ground beef in states where we've had positive bird flu dairy cows, and they all come back negative. So that was good. Now we're probably this week going to find out some information from some other testing that they had. Likely they did take a cow that was infected and then slaughtered it, and then took meat from the infected cow, and they were testing a muscle meat, and they were going to test that and see what level there was any bird flu in that. And then they were going to take that meat and cook it and see what temperature you had to get it to before it wiped out that bird flu, which all those things are scary to the consumer, and we really don't need any help on that. And like I said, the bird flu is very dangerous to chickens and birds, fowl of all kind, but it hasn't killed any cattle. One human got it and recovered right away, and most people cook their meat before they eat it. So I don't know. The media has been good and bad on the deal. The media has really put this out there and talked about it, but for the most part, whenever they talk about it, they say that there's virtually no risk to the general public about it. But we would just like to see less talk about this bird flu in the cattle. Let's talk about your board for the week. June live cattle futures, Monday was up 72, Tuesday was down 40, Wednesday was down $1.12, Thursday up $2.95, Friday down 12 cents, with June contracts on live cattle ending the week at 176.67, which was down $1.90 for the week. August ended the week at 174.57. May feeder cattle, very volatile. Monday was down 67, Tuesday down 345, Wednesday down 315, all just on rumors about stuff that was going on with the bird flu. Why that is affecting feeder cattle so much, I don't know. Thursday back up 217, but not near enough. Friday down 30 cents, with May feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 243.30, down $5.40 for the week. But like I said, still trading $1 to $2 higher than what our index levels are for cash feeders. August feeder cattle contracts ended the week down $5.80 at 254.75. Your grains, May corn ended the week at 447, which was 7 cents higher. May beans was up 42.25 cents for the week at 12.01 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May ended the week 13.75 cents higher at 6.60 a bushel. Fat cattle trade up through Thursday. We saw 51,000 head sell. In your live prices of fat steers and heifers in your 5-area feeding region, negotiated was 182 to 187, which was steady to $2 higher. Your weighted average up through Thursday in the 5-area live steers 186.42, but it's not going to be near that high. That was up $2.25 about, but it's not going to do that because up through Thursday we hadn't sold anything hardly in the Southern Plains, and of course Northern Plains is trading at at least a $2 to $3 premium than the Southern Plains. So when we get that into your weighted average for the 5-area, it's going to pull that down, but it's still going to be higher for the week. Dress sales ranged from 292 to 296, which was kind of uneven with a strange price spread last week. But your weighted average up through Thursday on dress steers was 294.63, which was up about a quarter. So as a whole, your Northern Plains traded last week $1 to $2 higher, from 186 to 187. Your dress sales were steady to firm from 294 to 295. Southern Plains ended up trading on Friday $2 higher at 184. So good for them. They got that $2 back that they lost the previous week from not trying hard enough. But on Friday in Iowa, they had already sold a lot of cattle, but they sold another 700. So almost 29,000 cattle sold, negotiated in Iowa. Live sales on Friday 184 to 187. Dress sales 295 to 296. Nebraska sold another 700 on Friday. 22,400 for the week. Live sales from 186 to 187 Friday. No dress sales reported. Kansas 6,900 on Friday and 8,000 for the week. And your live prices in Kansas on Friday were 184 to just a few at 184.5, but mostly all 184. Texas sold 2,000, which is all they sold all week up to what we have reported. We'll get a few more here by the time we do our weekly wrap-up that I'll give you on the next session of the Feeder Flash, but all at 184. Box beef cutout values were lower last week. Again, choice cuts, your weighted average price on all of last week's sales, $294.51, down $2.12 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. And your late Friday sales were about 30 cents lower than that at $294.20, so pretty close to the same. Your select weighted average on all of last week's sales, $288.77, down $191 compared to the previous week's weighted average. And your late sales on Friday on selects were about $1 lower than that. Choice select spread on the weighted average was only $5.74 right here in May, when everybody's getting ready to start buying those better cuts to put on the grill. That's surprising. I see that spreading out big time here in the next week or two. And all that information on 661 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter last week ended up being much better than what we thought. And I think the board's going to open up big, higher on Monday. I think your big feeder cattle auctions will be higher here on Monday when they start out. That was big bullish news with a $619,000 harvest last week estimated. We weren't looking for the 20,000 on Saturday that we got, which was pretty good. Ended up having a weekly of over 6,000 more than the previous week, and just 2,000 less than the same week a year ago. Year to date, our slaughter is down 4.5%, but with the heavier carcasses, our beef production year to date is only down 2.3%. So even though we're light on numbers, we've been making a lot of that back up with the heavy cattle. Talk about what else is going on. DVAuction is your biggest and best production sale online broadcaster, guys. And we got a report in from last month, which is a pretty big month on DVAuction production sales. And the report came in for April. we had online bids of over 24,000. And that surprises me because I thought I got more than that just on the Wolf Cattle Company sale that they had on those limousines early last month. But lots sold online was over 4,400, and online purchases totaled almost $21.5 million in our production sales, mostly bull sales there, guys. If you're having a production sale and you're not having DVAuction broadcast that thing online and taking the bids for it, you're really missing out on a big buyer base, guys. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction late in the week or ending the week at 241.49. That was down 554 from your real-time index that ended the previous week. Now, it was a little bit lower than your latest CME cash feeder cattle index of 242.39, but actually your trends in the sales, we started out last week a little bit higher. We cratered on middle of the week, especially Wednesday. Wednesday was a bad day to have a sale last week because just so much pressure from the board and uncertainty about the bird flu and all that. And so we were down big on our cash feeder sales on Wednesday, and then Thursday when the board came back, everybody just went hunky-dory like nothing had ever happened, and we came back a lot. But there was some big sales on Wednesday that sold sharply lower. They'll likely get that and more back this week, but that's the reason our RTI was so much lower. But your feeder sales, your cash feeders going right into the feedlot were steady to as much as 5 lower, and the 5 lower was all a result of that Wednesday crash with help from the board. And then your calves were very uneven, with long-time wean calves and stocker cattle sharply higher again, and new crop calves just kind of unevenly steady. Nobody really wanting them, especially if they're ballers, guys. But the cattle that have a condition to be turned out, they're crazy for them. Look here at this market from Fort Scott, Kansas here that recovered from their flood there a few weeks ago. And they had an active sale on Saturday, very active. And much better sale as far as trade activity than they had last week. And you look at the trends over to the right of your different weight groups, and you see it was sharply higher on your stocker weights there, guys, and that's close to stocker country right there. But it kind of peters out as you get to your heavier weights going right into the feedlot, which is kind of what we've been talking about. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Dunlap livestock auction on Friday in Dunlap, Iowa? They sell 115 steers. It was 2 loads. I'm showing you one here. 2 loads of steers weigh 819 and bring 260. That's pretty good. How about St. Francis, Kansas? St. Francis stockyards there. They sell 61 steer calves that weigh 530 and bring 356. That's a big time quote there from them. How about Montana livestock auction way up north and out west at Ramsey, Montana? 65 steers weigh 616. Stocker types 321 and a quarter. Wow. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, and your Macrison, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Wahoo livestock sales in Wahoo, Nebraska. 60 steers weighed 915 and bring 252. Wahoo. That's your feeder flash for Monday.